Hello everybody, welcome to my channel and welcome to my living room jungle where I keep lots of huge aroids. But today I want to talk to you about 18 small houseplants that I really like and recommend. Some of them are quite common, but some of them are a little less common, but they all have something special. So let's have a closer look together at these small houseplants. And of course I have to start with a philodendron. This is a baby philodendron tortum. It's currently growing in perlite and it's a cutting that I took 1 year ago of my philodendron tortum mother plant. Needless to say that this philodendron doesn't look like any other philodendron. It's quite unique and I'm growing this one under artificial light and it loves that. Another fun small house plant that's quite easy care is this ant plant. It needs a lot of light but not a lot of water. And in the codex you will see some holes and in the wild ants will go inside these holes. The leaves remind me of the clusia plant, so it's like several clusia plants all growing on top of a codex. This is the only calathea that I can keep alive. It's growing in soil, but it actually has a hydroculture setup. And the best thing to do is to give this plant distilled water. This here is a cutting that I took 1 year ago of my Philodendron grandipes mother plant. In all its simplicity, it is a timeless beauty and it is definitely one of my favorite philodendrons. It's very easy care, you should underwater it and give it partial light. Next up is this baby Monstera adansonii that I should repot because it has definitely outgrown this small container. The main feature of this plant, of course, are its leaves with all the holes in them. And this is also a houseplant that really enjoys growing under artificial light. And we are back at the philodendrons with these philodendron hastatum or silver sword twins that I'm growing in pon. These are also plants that I grew myself from cuttings from my mother plant. And as you might know, most philodendrons grow perfectly fine in a pon substrate. This Manjula pothos has been growing in a pumice substrate for years and it's a very slow grower. I think it produces more or less only one leaf every year. But this plant is all about quality and not so much about quantity. And I think the variegation on the leaves is just spectacular. This very basic Dracena is growing in soil, but its roots are actually growing in water. And as you can see, I like to experiment with growing systems and plant substrates to see what the plants like best. And I'm keeping this Dracena in my kitchen where it gets medium light. Okay, let me show you another philodendron. This is a cutting of my Philodendron verrucosum 2 mother plant. It's currently growing in perlite and in my experience this philodendron tends to make a very long stem before producing any leaves. And it's also definitely a philodendron that loves to grow under artificial light. Something totally different is this Pachypodium succulentum, which is another codex plant. It has lots of very impressive spikes and it's also a very slow grower. Now this plant is actually winter hardy, so last winter I kept it outside on my kitchen balcony as you can see here and it survived the frost perfectly. Next up are a bunch of cuttings of my Neon pothos mother plant and they are growing in pon. Most leaves have a lime green color, but sometimes some of the leaves get some kind of variegation as you can see here. Now I just have to show you this very small Ripsalis plant that bloomed a couple of weeks ago. And after the flowers disappeared, some of the stems produced these very cute miniature cactus fruits. Next up is this Bocarnia recurvata, yet another codex plant. This plant is native to Mexico. It's a very slow grower that enjoys direct sunlight. It's also a plant that you should only water when the soil is completely dry. These two cats are watching over a very small Sansevieria samurai dwarf. This is another very slow growing plant with beautiful white edges on its leaves. It's a plant that doesn't really need a lot of light, so I am keeping it in my bedroom quite far away from the window. Under my purple growing light I am growing this Peperomia Hope that I bought 4 years ago for only €4. In my experience this is a very fast growing plant, so I keep cutting back the branches in order to keep this plant more or less compact. One of my favorite small houseplants is this variegated Schefflera that I bought 1 year ago at the Belgian Botanical Gardens. It's currently growing in soil but in a very small container, so probably I should be repotting this plant pretty soon. This plant loves lots of sunlight, so I'm growing it close to a window. This here used to be a piece of the stem of a variegated Syngonium that I just threw in some water. And you can see what happened so far. None less than 5 beautifully variegated leaves have appeared. And finally, I would like to show you some of my many what I call miniature plant worlds. I recycle these plastic soda cups, I put some sphagnum moss in them, and then I throw bits and pieces of all types of plants in there. And you can see how these Pilia depressa cuttings are trying to escape the container through the hole at the top of the plastic cup. Okay, that's all for this video in which I showed you 18 small houseplants I would definitely recommend. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and or subscribing to my channel. For now, I wish you a very nice day. I hope to see you back soon on my channel. Bye bye.